Mr. Michael Wilbon from PTI. I'm always so thrilled when you come by, and we begin talking to you about the basketball GOAT. Michael Jordan granted a rare interview to our friend Craig Melvin from the Today Show just after opening 2 medical clinics he's funding in Charlotte, which, by the way, good job by him. During the interview, MJ and Melvin shared some of his new tequila, and then this happened. Take a look.
Someone asked you if you could pick 4 guys for your pickup team, 4 guys that you play anybody else with. Hakeem Olajuwon, Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen, and James Worthy. That was 6 years ago. Lots happened in the league in 6 years. Would you keep the same 4?
In a heartbeat. When I'm going in the trenches, I played against and with all these guys. I'm going with who I know. Every single night, that responsibility to go out there and represent greatness every single night.
So Steph Curry shouldn't be offended when he watches this.
I hope not. He's still a great player. Not a Hall of Famer yet, though. He's not.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
So first of all, shout out to MJ for being loyal to our guy Scotty. Love that. But Wilbon, you know Michael better than almost anyone. He didn't have to throw the Hall of Famer thing in there. He wasn't asked about it.
You saw the twinkle in his eye. This is Michael. You've known him forever.
I have known him for a long time.
You know him. This is what he does. He likes to tweak, and he did this. It came off to me in a lighthearted way. Like the first thing when I heard people going crazy about this, Michael said Steph's not a Hall of Famer. Stop. He loves Steph Curry. Loves him. Loves him. I know this. I can say that without anybody calling him now to say it was tampering years ago when I was told that. But he loves Steph Curry as a player. Michael's consistent, and he's not going to be given into the hype. Those Hall of Famers, that generation of Hall of Famers, what do they always say? You got to go through the process. When the time comes, you'll be there. Michael's not saying Steph Curry's not a Hall of Famer. If he was sitting here, he might tweak him some more, but he will be a Hall of Famer. But no, you have to go through the steps that when the time comes and you retire and you've gone through your entire career, then you can be a Hall of Famer. He's consistently like that. He's tough on people. Michael's not grading on the curve now. Come on, I know him that well. I know you guys do too. He's not grading on the curve, but I also know from many conversations over the years, he loves Steph Curry.
Hall of Famer, what do you think?
This is how, of course. This is how I took it.
No, you Hall of Famer.
This is how I took it, right? I mean, I look at it as Jordan is old school, and he's right. He doesn't waver for anything, for anybody. He stick to who he is. And because Steph is still playing, he's still writing his script, his story, he's not going to put Steph in the Hall of Fame right now. He's still writing it. Well, so I didn't take it as...
You can put him in the Hall of Fame right now.
He is a Hall of Famer. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
But I know how MJ is. We know how Michael is. He's not giving him that.
And by the way, if he did something else, he wouldn't be Michael Jordan. It's like going back to the Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah.
Right? And people were so offended. I'm like, shut up. If Michael didn't do that, he wouldn't be Michael Jordan. He'd be Clyde Drexler. He'd be no. I'm saying the personalities. We know the difference between Michael and everybody else, right? Don't we? And this has been his personality. You look at we celebrated all these things: the trash talk, the toughness. I mean, being able to come right at people no matter what. That is what characterized him as much as the tongue wag and switching hands and all of that. So now when he sticks to that, when he's consistent, then people want to say, oh, my God, he's insulting Steph Curry. I'm glad, Tracy, that you didn't take it that way.
When I see the video, he just looks like a guy having a little fun.
That's it.
Just looks like a guy having a little fun. I will say, though, there is sort of an undercurrent among the older generation of ex-players who just don't seem ready to accept Curry as their historic equal, which is a little bit, there's just a little undercurrent of that. So we'll see. But, obviously Tracy's right. He's a 3-time MVP, 2-time champion. He's in. Right now, he could retire and go play golf. He's in.
That's what I mean. I mean, you can take, I get it, what you guys mean about, hey, the process, and he's not officially retired. He's not officially gone through the waiting period and all of that. But he is a Hall of Famer right now. With his credentials right now, if he never dribbled another basketball.
If we voted and he gets the #1 vote, he's not. Let me ask you something. If Michael all of a sudden started being Mr. Soft,
I know, I would.
And just sort of passing everybody through the gates, I mean, what will we say then?
I think you should go the other. I think you should go the other way.
That's what we'll say.
Go the other way. Be like Steph Curry. He's like a sixth man. I think you should go all the way the other way.
I do know though. I've talked to him about Steph also. He loves Steph.
He loves him.
Dell calls games for the Hornets. Right? Grew up there. They're North Carolina guys.
If Mike was to say he was a Hall of Famer, you know how much hate he'll get. Steph will get that he already has on him from the players that are playing right now.
Why? But why?
That's a great point, Tracy.
There's a lot of players in this league that don't like everything that Steph is getting, right? From the fans, the media, they don't like that. If Michael Jordan validates him as a Hall of Famer, come on.
But isn't that what he said weird? A lot of players in the league don't like what Steph is getting. Why?
They're coming at him this year. It's one thing that's clear from just listening to people around the league. They're coming at Steph like he's done something to them. I agree with you with that.
It's very strange.
But the fact is, they believe, okay, he's going to have to take this matchup. He's going to take this 35 this particular night because Klay Thompson isn't there to switch off in that backcourt, and Klay's the great defender. That's out there. Am I right?
Yes.
It's all over. That conversation is out there. Do I think Steph can knock a lot of this down? Absolutely, because he's that great.
He will.
He's that great. But the point is, these people are coming after the. You know how this league is. I mean, people, it's personal. You can't do this in football. You can't do this in some other sports.
You go at someone.
But you can do it in basketball. And this is something, I think, a theme we're going to be aware of early in this season.
It's super interesting. And you're right, MJ is the MJ, but he didn't have to say it. I don't know. It just counts. It counts as the
Did you like the Hall of Fame
like
speech? Did you like his Hall of Fame speech?
I would have maybe taken a half a step back in his Hall of Fame speech.
I would have taken a full step back. I would have taken.
I've been Mike.
It would have been Michael.
Yeah.
You know some of the
that
first
night.
NBA games I ever covered were the Bulls in Chicago.
I know.
Right?
I was with you.
Raised me there, right? So I have seen this act for a long time.
You remember who else got in the Hall of Fame that night? It was like David Robinson, John Stockton. Who am I missing? Somebody else. Jerry Sloan.
Right.
And speaking of idols,
yes,
they all gave the speech. They were all just so. That's what they did. When Michael Jordan got up there, and I was sitting there, Stuart Scott and I believe, and John Barry were sitting on a stage on our own set. And when Michael started doing that, I look at Scotty. You know, Scotty loved it because he knew what was coming. I mean,
his poor high school coach.
If you're gonna bring to the Hall of Fame ceremony the guy who was named to the team instead of you, the guy who beat you out.
Yes.
What does that tell you is coming?
It's pretty good.
There's no way I would have showed up.
Oh my God, I loved it.
You.
No way.
Thank
Tracy would have just said no.
Thank you. I do look. I do think Michael Jordan believes Steph Curry belongs in the Hall of Fame. I also believe that he purposely. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't like an offhanded comment.
Tweaking, it was good.
He did it on purpose. And you mentioned Steph without Klay. It might be for longer than we thought. Steve Kerr spoke to Logan Murdoch from NBA Sports Bay Area about Klay Thompson's timetable for recovery after tearing his ACL in Game 6 of this past NBA Finals. Warriors fans are hoping Klay can return before the playoffs, but Kerr not as optimistic, guys. He said, quote, "It's unlikely he's going to play this year, so we have to understand that." That was to NBC Sports Bay Area. Look, Tracy, there were people who thought Klay's a quick healer. He could come back after the All-Star break. If you were Klay, would you just approach this as a lost season and wait till next year?
No, not at all. I mean, the goal is to come back and play and be with my team. I think if he can get back right after the All-Star break and he's feeling 100%, his body is responding from the workouts and practices, yeah, he should come back. If his team is in a running of making the playoffs. If not, no, just go ahead and, sit out the whole season because it's a wash.
I picked the Warriors to miss the playoffs in part because I had a little inkling that Klay's season was going to be closer to 0 games than it was to coming back after the All-Star break. That said, I think the Warriors are very smartly playing down expectations both for their team and for Klay. They're knocking down the questions before anybody can ask. And if they're in the playoff hunt and he's feeling good in April, maybe who knows? I don't know that has been definitively decided he wouldn't play.
Here's the one thing that is going right for Klay that I think coming off of this surgery is that he's not extremely athletic, right? He's a jump shooter. So with that being said, he's not a guy that is coming through the lane, dunking, and doing all that craziness. He's a jump shooter. So he could come back if they are in the playoff hunt. He could come back, and I think he'll be fine.
We all saw him walk back to the tunnel to take a free throw because after tearing the ACL, he wanted to make sure he was legally still allowed to come back into the game.
Well, we saw Kobe Bryant walk off the court.
We did. We see him walk up. Look, That's toughness.
Yes.
And people don't want to ascribe toughness to Clay and or Steph, as we were talking about earlier, but they are tough. Look at the injuries they've come back and played with in the postseason alone. Both of these guys are tough as hell. So that's that. But the point I immediately thought of is you tamp it down, tamp the expectations down. Don't go the other way. So now you get to the point where maybe Steve and Bob have to answer this question every few days, not every day, right? Not every shoot around. Is he coming back?
Right.
Well, we said he's not coming back.
Right.
So I think that's part of it, but I think also you're gonna wait and see. He's gonna wait and see how he is, right? Isn't that what players do?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to wait and see what the Warriors season is, right? If the wing defense is bad, if things are as bad, they did not look great in the preseason. If things don't go well, maybe they'll say, hey, it's not worth it. If they're not even close to a playoff berth, that kind of thing. But I want to see the person that tells Klay Thompson he can't play when he thinks he can play, because that conversation usually doesn't go that well. Let's get to what the Jump recommends for today. You can head over to the ESPN app for our expert picks to win the West.